Okay, how do we find how do we estimate a mean with a set of data when I don't know all the data? And so with frequency tables, usually how it's given to us, provided to us. And so I know there's 56 numbers that fall between 9 and 12 miles per gallon, 177 between those, et cetera. So how do we estimate this? So what Dr. Stevens recommends is to find the midpoint, to use the midpoint of this range in order to make an estimate. So if we average 9 plus 12, so 9 plus 12 is 21, divide that by 2, we get 10.5. We can do the same thing here, average those, divide by 2, we're going to get 14.5. But I want to call your attention to, see how these bins go up by 4 each time? These classes go up by 4 each time. The same will be true about the midpoint. So I just added 4 to the 10.5. I added 4 to that, and so on until I had them all. And I made sure I had them all. And then I recopied the frequencies here. Let me get rid of the 518. Just to get this work. Now, the beautiful thing about a spreadsheet, and I mean, you can certainly do this all by hand with a calculator. The best thing about a spreadsheet is that you can repeat things very easily. The way you get a spreadsheet to calculate a formula is you tell it, you type in equals, that tells it you're going to do a formula, and then click on my 10.5. and then go Shift 8 to get a time sign, and click on the 56, and you see how it's multiplying those two cells. Press Enter. Now I could repeat that, equals 14.5 times 77, 177, those cells. But the beautiful thing about a spreadsheet is if you click on that 588 number and put your cursor so it's a plus sign, you can drag down, and you see how it automatically creates the formulas for us. So just like when you're calculating a mean, when you know all the data, how you add them all up, we're going to add up all these numbers right here. And the way you do a sum on a spreadsheet is you do equals, type the word sum. You see I'm getting this pop up. I could put a parentheses and do it myself. I can click on the sum and it'll do it. And then I got to highlight those cells. And you see how the way it's adding up I8 all the way down to I13. You could type that in. So the sum of those numbers is 9131. I also need to find the sum of the frequencies because I have to divide by how many numbers I have. I already know it's 518, but let's just double check it. So equals sum, plus it'll give us a little more practice calculating a sum. And 518, and now to get the mean, we're just going to divide those two numbers. So equals, I'm going to click on the sum of the numbers, divided by how many numbers there are. And I get 17.6. Now to get the median of this data set, I know that there's 518 numbers. If I use Dr. Stevens' trick of 0.5, actually let me get my board going here. If we use his trick of because it's the median is the 50th percentile, 0.5 times 518, I get, what do I get? I did this earlier. Bear with me here because I couldn't find where my calculation went. I got 259. So back in chapter 2, we learned when you did this trick and you got a whole number, that meant you had to average the 259th number and the 260th number, the one after the number that came out. So let's figure out what the 250th number is and the 260th number is. Well, there's 56 here. If I add it to 173, that's going to be about 120 something, almost 130, maybe it's 131, not 259. So I have to go down to the next class, and that's with add an additional 167. That's going to encompass both the 59th number and the 259th number and the 260th number. So in this bin right here is the 18.5 midpoint. So I'm going to estimate that the median is about 18.5. Okay. So that's how you do this part of this work. Hope that helps.